All right, so this is Steve-O. I know him from Jackass, and I guess so do you. A lot of people know him from Jackass, and a lot of
him staple his balls to his leg.
yeah, he's basically like he's a he just does like crazy things, but he also
IV alcohol.
yeah,
Like
he also got into a lot of drugs, like, and he talks about his experience, and it's really interesting. And so let's hear.
are we gonna have a drug segment?
I don't know.
Let's
Let's just hear
Okay.
Steve-O's.
While I drink my coffee.
Yeah.
And
Smoked for fucking 17 years. Started smoking when I was 16 and stopped when I was 33.
Whoa.
Yeah, 17 years I fucking smoked, man.
stopped
Do you
pretty
feel any
young.
ill effects of it now at 43?
Almost 43, and
How's your cardio?
I think it's pretty good. What fucked up my cardio was all that nitrous oxide, dude. I fucked up my dude. I went through those Whip It cartridges.
Yeah.
There's 24 per box, and there's 25 boxes per case. So per case, there's 600 cartridges, and it was not unusual for me to go through 600 in like 24 hours, 24 to 36 hours.
What?
I went.
I know,
I
he was
took
like-
every measure to try to limit, like the fucking air that went into my lungs to try to make it like all nitrous oxide. Like I was the whole time I'm holding in a lungful of that shit, and I'm just with my fucking the canister from Starbucks and shit. I was like a fucking wizard at like loading up 6 into it while holding the last fucking ones, you know? And dude, that was when all the crazy shit would go down, because I would be like awake on cocaine for 3 days and inhaling nothing but nitrous oxide. And then at that point is when shit starts
let's get
popping
this on
off. And people are walking around my apartment who are never physically there. You know?
So you're just seeing a bunch of shit.
Oh, dude, like actual fucking people, man. I watched a dude walk through my apartment and fucking pick up my bong and take a hit and blow out smoke and fucking then like put it down, and just the dude walked through the wall. He was never fucking there, ever.
That was another version of him.
Look at like his like the face he's just making. As soon as he told him he was doing 600 cartridges in a 24 to 36 hour period, he's just like, what?
I don't
Like,
think I've ever tried nitrous oxide.
yeah, but that's after.
He was
that's
trying not to get any oxygen intake just to see how high he can get.
right, but that's
what he was
after
saying.
3 days of staying up just on cocaine. Like he's on everything.
That was when he was younger, right?
Well, okay, so this is on the Joe Rogan podcast. He also goes on the H3 podcast, and he actually talks about what kind of traumatized him,
Triggered
and
this
why
whole
he went.
downhill.
And it started with his mom passing away in
Yeah, I was
2003.
like, he's escaping some pain or grievance that he doesn't want to reconcile, or like.
Yeah, this is why it's like you should
Why
never
are you going so far?
you should never judge someone by
Ever. Period.
yeah, because like you just don't know what they're going through. And so yeah, let's talk.
Yes.
Let's
What
see.
is this patching up to help him pass or get over? We're like, that's always what the question. What's it he trying to patch?
Yeah, so let's talk about, or let's see how he talks about it on the H3 podcast.
I lost my mom in 2003, and you know, it was like really kind of a traumatic thing for me. Not that I lost my mom, but the last 5 years of her life, where she survived an aneurysm, and she was very fucking damaged. Like she was physically and mentally horribly disabled, and had bed sores, and it was just fucking terrible. Like she was in great pain in her last.
So if you guys don't know what an aneurysm is, it's like your brain has a heart attack. And so it can leave people.
That's a stroke. An
Oh.
aneurysm is where the vessel bursts.
Right. And so it could leave people like physically disabled or mentally disabled because
Oh yeah, especially depends on how long it's been bleeding, because you don't see it. The brain just like it like fills up.
right.
the
So when he
blood
talks
to
about his mom
damage.
in the last 5
brain
years of
damage.
her life, she was so physically disabled she couldn't even move in her
yeah.
bed, and that's what was causing bed sores because she wasn't. And so that's what
I've seen
traumatized
some
him was
bed
the last
sores.
5 years of his life, of her life. I mean.
And then having to
So-
watch her
so
live like that.
The story that
yeah.
he was telling about on Joe Rogan, where he watched someone like appear, he's gonna tell that story right here.
Oh.
And so let's keep going.
5 years were traumatic.
And just to make clear, it wasn't a
And,
physical person.
No,
It
he's
was-
gonna tell the same
okay,
story.
Okay.
And that fucked me up a lot. At one point, when I was in this apartment, like in my fucking psychosis, I watched a dude come out of the bathroom. He walked right behind me. He stopped, and as my interpretation, he went like that, right? Which I interpreted to be like he stopped and fucking paid respect to my mom. And then turned. He kept walking through the apartment. I watched this fucking dude pick up the bong, take a hit, blow out smoke, put it back, and then fucking walk through the wall. Motherfucker was never there, dude.
So I thought that was interesting. Like the stories he tells while he's like super high, it takes him to places where he has epiphanies, and that's what actually got him sober.
Or what he says, his psychosis, because psychologically, they
No, right, but
consider
that's-
it drug-induced psychosis or just regular psychosis.
Right,
It's like when your mind is playing those kind of tricks. But he was logically able to say, like, people can't go through walls, so obviously that wasn't a real person. Like, for him to be able to...
Right. Well, I want to talk. I want him to tell the story about how basically like him meeting his demons like caused him to get out of his psychosis. I mean, and get sober. So let's take a look.
Like I have the most fucked up ghost stories ever.
Well, we got to go there.
Do it.
Okay.
Yeah, we got to go there.
When I was doing drugs, okay?
Yeah.
Like, I did drugs to the point where...
I think all of the best stories start with when I was doing drugs. Just FYI. Okay, let's keep going.
I was hearing voices, okay? Like, it's called... The technical term for this would be psychosis. Where
Just a total mental.
and what's so peculiar about the phenomenon of psychosis, which is characterized by auditory hallucinations where you're hearing voices, visual hallucinations. I was watching people walk around my apartment, people who were never there. I was watching them walk through walls. They staged like an intervention on me at one point. I had fucking an apartment full of people who were there to have a formal intervention, but they were never fucking there.
Were you aware that they weren't
Dude,
there?
I watched them. I watched them motherfuckers.
Did you think it was real, or were you aware
I
that
knew
you
it was real.
hallucinated?
I knew it was real, and to this fucking day it was real. To
It
this
felt
fucking
that
day
real.
it was real.
But in retrospect,
Well, so what was happening
Well,
is he was,
he seems real, like, separate from his mind.
yeah, but he
Like,
He
actual
knows.
entities,
Right.
not made up in
Yes.
his mind. His mind just recognizes them, is what he's trying to say.
Yeah, and the interesting about Steve-O is that he's very open about how he experienced psychosis, and that's like a kind of honesty I think we need in, especially like in nowadays where mental health is now becoming more of
I think as
an
most
issue.
people get therapy and stuff,
Right.
they can talk about it because they're given terms.
Yeah, and
to
that's-
describe it, what
but-
their experience is.
But also, he's not afraid to be honest about it. He's like, yeah, I was hearing voices. It was psychosis. Like, but to him, he's also expressing like that was a very real thing for me at the moment. Like,
Yeah, and he's not gonna deny that it
these
happened.
people that like I made up, or yeah, that manifested in my mind. They came and they staged an intervention for me. That's some powerful inner mind stuff.
like that was obviously a hallucination.
Totally fucking spiritual entities that are
Okay.
right now.
So
this
wait,
is
you
why
don't
they're-
think it was a hallucination? You think they were real spiritual entities?
the fucking line is completely blurred.
Okay,
The
understood.
line is completely fucking blurred, and I think that the reason why I'm seeing them as hallucinations is because they're real.
Do you think that the drugs like open your mind?
I
in
think
some
that I
way?
think the drugs. That's why I'm like with psychosis, like meth, whether meth will do it. Cocaine, particularly on the third straight day of a cocaine bender with no sleep, like while inhaling like nitrous oxide to the exclusion of air as much as possible.
Right.
When shit would really pop off.
Interesting.
You know, shit would pop off.
Did you invite it?
At one point, okay, the first time I had like a spiritual like intervention where it was like, okay, I was sitting and I was inhaling nitrous oxide and I was doing cocaine and I had been doing so for 2 to 3 days. I was in a chair that spun just like
Yeah, that means no sleep. By the way, that you're just up
sleep
3
on the
days
boat.
straight. Yeah.
and I was
Most binges are like that.
I was sitting in front of a big pile of cocaine, and I'm sitting there, and I'm thinking to myself, as I go to snort another ridiculous helping of cocaine, I thought to myself, "Wow, I'm killing myself." You know, like there is no longevity in what I'm doing. I'm dying.
It's not
I'm
sustainable.
dying here. Like this is me killing myself.
Not
and
for
I'm
our
dying. And I
biology.
thought very specifically, because I'll never forget this. I thought, I don't care if I die. And I just leaned over to go fucking right now. As I thought, I don't care if I die. Like as a reaction to those specific words that I thought, like physically, the spinning chair I was in as I went to it fucking spun. It was like there was a big, strong dude who fucking spun the fucking chair. It was like with the power of as if it was like a fucking mechanical bull. It was just like it fucking spun. And like, and it was, now granted, this was a tactile hallucination, meaning not like here, but you feel it. I know fully well that if there was a surveillance camera in my apartment at that time, it would not reveal this experience that I had.
Right.
I'm clear on that, but it fucking
Wow.
happened.
What do
There's
you
no
mean?
So
Well, because a lot of times, like I've had that before.
a tactile hallucination
Where you're like,
where
wait
you
a
feel
minute.
something but nothing's happening.
It couldn't have happened because I couldn't have ended up here like this. And then that's how you or like that's how you know when your your hallucination isn't real. It's like physically that person couldn't walk.
Yeah, that's why I
through.
said if there was a camera there recording me, it wouldn't have seen anything.
Yeah,
It's just-
but you feel it.
yeah.
You feel it. Like
It's like VR. It's like when someone pushes you, or when you're standing on a cliff in VR, like you feel it, and like the brain is very easily
Strong.
tricked.
Yeah, tricked
but or
to-
influenced maybe. But okay, so I want to get back to where he was about to take the snort, and he was like, or the line or whatever, and he was like, this is
baller
not
line.
like this is not sustainable. Like I can't live like this, and then.
His heart's
And then-
like, can you stop, please?
Right, and then in his mind, he's like, I don't care if I live. And it's like, I think that is a misconception a lot of people who haven't dealt with suicide have about suicide. It's not that you want to die, it's that you have an indifference to living.
Yeah, you're just like,
Yeah,
what's the point anyways? Who cares?
right.
Like,
That exactly. And so that's the point he was at. And I don't know if he recognizes it as suicidal or as an indifference to living, but then I think that's actually much closer than we think.
yes.
Okay, let's keep going.
Wouldn't reveal, like you never spun at all? You think it would show?
My experience was that I did, but if
You
someone
think
else
the
was
camera would
there,
show
the
that
camera
it was
like,
just still.
it like got right. Like it didn't like I know
Interesting.
well enough to know that like this is an experience that I had that was outside of the dimension that we're in, right? And like it was so clear when this happened that like I thought I don't care if I die, and then just, whoa, it was like think again, motherfucker, like think again. Like this was completely in response to that I don't care if I die. It was like think again, like the message was clear that there is some entity that distinctly cares that I not die.
What was
like
your
think
reaction?
again. I was like, fuck, like something powerful as fuck just spun this thing.
Did you take the line?
Well, yeah, of course.
I finished the whole damn pile that night. Come
Wants me to
on.
live. Wants me to see the importance of don't not care. Like I should care. Something wants me to care about living. Like I gotta live.
So have you ever seen like split brain tests, like people who have had to get their whatever, like the cerebral cortex or whatever connects the left part to your right part of your brain, for some reason it has to be severed, but then the person is still able to like perform and do things, but then they do tests where like the left part of your brain sees something and the right part of your brain sees something, and they ask you a question, and then your hands are supposed to respond because your right hand's connected to your left part of your brain, and your left hand is connected to your right part of the brain. And they find that
Visual is crossed also.
right, exactly. And they find that if they give information to one part of the brain, the other part of the brain can still answer it. And I mean, all that to say is that I think our brains are actually two separate organisms working together. And when Steve-O, when he experiences these things of like something is propelling him to live, I think that's like there is the biology in him that still wants to survive, and it exists in its brain, but it might not be vocal. It might be more.
They say there's that God part of the.
No, right, and so
brain.
it might manifest
Maybe.
itself inside of these hallucinations that he might not otherwise see without these drug binges. Really, do you know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like it opens up a part.
So those drug binges and these spiritual aspects, like I have always told people, it reminds me of when I would do fasts.
Yeah,
And it's
right.
when I'm fasting and praying or what people say meditating, because I do it for long periods. It's like you get to that induced psychosis, but it's not drug induced. It's like a
It's like a trip. It's like a psychedelic trip.
starvation induced. You'll see lots of starving people.
Steve
who
Jobs
go
did it
through, and
with
so you don't have to
food.
do it with drugs. You can do it with
I
a
think maybe
reduction of stuff and biological.
the drugs probably helped him get to that day.
Yeah,
without
well, probably
food,
because
you know what
most
I mean?
people
So
have
it's-
never been trained in the fasting or doing other things in spirit. Like he probably never. I don't know if he did stuff like
Sure.
that, right?
But yeah, no,
the drugs help him get there.
Yeah, and I think he experienced a spiritual reaction, but I think there is actually a biological explanation for like why that happens and why it manifests itself to him and why it's so like powerful to him, because it's almost like him speaking to himself.
Yeah.
All right, let's keep going.
or something. Dude, I think it might have been later that night. Well, no, there was another night when I had the formal interview. Dude, I had a shoe sponsor, and there was these cubby holes, a whole wall of shoes, and like the mess, the in my apartment, shit was just going off, and all these shoes were sitting there like tapping their toes, like, okay, throw away the drugs. They're all impatiently tapping their toes, like, okay, throw away the drugs.
Oh my god!
Like, and I'm just watching that, and all this shit. It's like, okay, wait, hold on, is that happening? And I would think that's really crazy that's fucking happening. And I'd look again and like, yep, sure enough, it's still happening. Like totally, like inanimate objects were communicating to me.
It's like a
and
horror
now
story.
And again, you feel like in that situation with the security camera, the shoes aren't moving.
Correct.
Yeah.
100% correct. And so like it's spiritual entities, ghosts, like whatever, like my spirit friends. There were different classifications of them. There were angels, clearly angels that cared about me living, and they would even say in my ears, like, "Hey, we're worried about you. You know, like, like you're killing yourself, and it's not okay." And they were very loving and angels, and they were like rooting for me. That's like really what I prayed to this day. Like you know, like when you go to rehab and they say you have to have a higher power, like you know. Like whatever spun that fucking chair is just, I pray to that, you know, something that cares about me. So there were the angels. Then there were demons. For sure there were demons. Like the voices were telling me like, fucking suffocate yourself to death. They were urging me to kill myself. And it was like super dark and gnarly and super scary. Then,
Hold your breath and see how
and I
long it
would
takes to
probably
pass out.
classify this as demons as well, but much more fun, like trickster spirits, like shit. They would just fucking entertain me. That same chair that I was in, right? Like the spinning office chair, which was I had a big dining room table like this, with the computer set up with the TV on the wall, and that fucking chair while I was in it just caught fucking fire, just engulfed in flames, and the flames didn't hurt. It was just there showing off like cool shit for me. Like I was just like, whoa, the chair, and I'm checking it out. Like, sure enough, it's on fire. The whole fucking chair is just on fucking fire. And I'm like, whoa, fucking cool. I just wanted to do more drugs and pile more. That's why I classified these as demon spirits, because they just tricksters,
enabling you.
They wanted me
Kept
to.
him there.
I loved it. So all this fucking shit was so
Yeah.
cool. There was so much of it, like. Lights that were never even there, ever, were just flashing. It was a fucking light show, just like bomb, 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 bomb. The curtains are opening and closing on their own. The whole place is going fucking nuts, and I'm like,
Pee-wee's
whoa, this is the fucking coolest party ever. Like, and I just want to do more drugs to keep the shit happening. I had this.
Insane. That didn't scare you? Like
I loved it. I loved it so much. At certain times, it got scary. There was
like, that
lot
sounds like
of
a bad
fucking
trip.
dark, creepy, scary shit that went down
Yeah.
too. Like,
Were you by yourself usually when the show was going down?
Always.
Just you,
Always.
party.
There were a couple times, but the other person, if they were there, they wouldn't be privy to it. They would be like, you know, there's like they're
Yeah,
like
'cause they're not
rules
on
for-
it.
for the spirits. But I had this.
Huh.
I
What are
had-
the rules?
They're not. They're not supposed to interfere with.
They can't physically affect.
They can't like manipulate they can't interfere with free will. They can't manipulate things to alter the course, you know. So
Toy Story
really
rules.
they've
Are
got
those rules you learned from interacting with them?
yeah, and they weren't supposed to like say anything. They're like, and it's like the committee, and you can hear them kind of, you know, but like. And they're in another thing, but if you do enough drugs, that's why the same thing happens if you're on meth as if you're on coke, or even like sometimes the alcohol. Like all roads lead to the same place. If you do enough drugs, if you fuck yourself up enough, even PCP, like that you erode the barriers between us and these entities, you know, and then you start experiencing. That's why I still believe it's real, dude.
That's so interesting. It's rare, I feel like, where you get perspective of like someone that abused alcohol and meth and cocaine and nitrous, and they made it to the other side of sobriety, and they're
Oh,
able.
I met a lot of them.
Well, I know, but I think
but
in
I
terms of
work
like
in a
celebrities like Steve-O, like they're more rare because it's like for people like me who don't know any of them, it's like I don't know anyone who talks about it.
Downey Jr.
No, I know. I don't
He's
hear it. I don't.
awesome.
Yeah,
He
and
made it out, and
if he gets
a lot of them, because it's so available.
right, but
It's
how
so
often do they talk about it? And the way he talks about
well,
it.
he kind of would go on crazy binges like Rockstar.
Right, no, that's what I'm saying. He abused all of them, right? And he knows now that like
He talks about
it
it
all
truthfully.
takes you to the same place where it's like at the end of the day when you're like abusing these things hard, like
You gotta face your demons.
there's nothing left to face because you ran so far. There's nowhere to run. Like you can't binge longer than how many days in a row, otherwise you just pass out, right? And it's like when you get to like the highest place, like it's you got to face yourself, and I just think it's really interesting to get that perspective of someone who's abused all of them, who can say with the authority of someone who's abused all of them, they all end up like you get to that place where you have to figure it out.
Yeah, either keep going off the cliff or turn around.
Dude, I had, like, some of the other trickster shit was fucking badass, man. Like, I had this this globe, like the Earth, and the base of it, I drilled to a skateboard, and then the skateboard I drilled to the wall, so the globe is coming out, protruding like this. I sat there and I looked at that fucking globe, and I watched my own face, like the liquid Terminator in the globe, like came pushing out.
God.
It came pushing out like the fucking globe is, and my face came pushing out, and then started headbanging. The globe's going like, boom.
And you weren't scared. You were like,
I was like, whoa, like, whoa, yeah, yes,
Can
yes.
you imagine watching
Dude,
back
I got
tapes?
goosebumps. I got the gnarliest goosebumps.
Can you imagine watching a
Out.
tape back of you?
Oh yeah, and I would make my own
Can you
videos.
imagine that?
Dude, like I would make
You
my
would
own.
film
video-
it.
Oh well, yeah. I mean, like
Do those exist
You,
still?
oh yeah, dude. There was a whole documentary that was made about my downward spiral and psychosis, and ultimately to my
And that
intervention.
footage of you like interacting.
Yeah,
with the
and dude,
spirits.
what the footage reveals is me reacting to a lot of this stuff that like it's not
There's
there.
nothing there,
It's not there. You can tell. I'm like, whoa,
Totally into
whoa, you know, and I'm like,
Wow.
yeah. So I mean, there's a million.
Wow, it's just so interesting.
It wasn't an act. He was really seeing things. Because remember, it would be like, this man.
But he was so entertaining. I feel like because he was he was
the
trying
ideas from his tricksters.
Well, no, but he was trying to have fun. And I think that's why, like, maybe he felt like he was
How could
seeing
that be
things that.
fun?
No, but he was trying to have fun on his show. He wasn't really like using his show as like an escape. Like he was, he had his issues as well, but like he always looked like he was genuine in whatever he did. Even when he's like tripping out, he's like reacting to it as if it's like right there. And I think that's why like Steve-O has longevity, and same with like probably Johnny Knoxville, is because like they're just genuine guys.
Whatever happened to Knoxville?
He made a movie, Action Park. It's like that park that has a bunch of lawsuits and had people die there. That water park. He came out in a movie recently about that movie.
He made it? Or
he starred in it. He might have directed it. He was also in Old Grandpa or something. He's been in movies
I've
recently.
seen that. Yeah.
Pretty funny. All right, guys, that's Steve-O. Check out the
glad he's still
documentary.
alive and well and
absolutely! What an incredible story. Honestly, it's inspiring in a weird way because, I mean, one, it's like, don't judge people. Like you just don't know what they're going through, and two, it's like there is hope for people even when they're alone. And like on their binges, like you can come to these realizations if you're just honest with yourself. Because that's what it was, right? He was like, I don't care if I die. And that honesty and that realization was what helped him to process like,
Do you really think that?
right,
or not?
exactly.
Like,
Yeah, because you put it on the table. It wasn't on the table before until he was like, I'm not going to live any longer. And so really interesting. So
Well, you have to confront the fact that this is dangerous for you.
Mm-hmm.
Which is a lot of addictions and stuff. It's like the reason why it's like it's detrimental to your health or whatnot, like,
yeah.
and we just keep ignoring that for some reason as if we're going to live forever. And so you're not going to live forever. You're going to die one day. You're going to make it sooner, or are you going to try to do something out of it?
Yeah.
Like why waste the time or whatever you got? But,
Yeah. I think, we're all kind of aware of like the time we have left, and it's like, if you're not going to make it past a certain age, you got to make choices to either choose to change your lifestyle or not. That's why we have shows like 1,000 pound sisters. Ah, it's so crazy.
What?
There's like,
oh my God,
it's
that
like
doesn't
a
sound
pair of
good.
sisters that are like 500 pounds each. Yeah. But yes. Anyways, all right. Hope you guys like this episode.
I'm like, is it TLC?
Leave a like and subscribe if
like a
you
Tom
did. Yeah, it sounds like a
show.
TLC show. Don't forget to take your coronavirus prevention infection medicine. And if you don't have buds, wear your buds. We'll see you in the next episode.
Yeah.